Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Ike Kehal is the CEO of Social27, a virtual events platform that can run huge events and yet personalise the experience for each user. Social27 was actually the platform used for the COP26 Climate Summit. Thank you very much for being my podcast guest today, Ike.
My pleasure, Liz. Thank you for having me.
Now, you're the CEO of Social27, but before we talk about that, tell me something about your previous career and how you got started.
Certainly. So I actually worked in a few technology companies before I started Social27. The biggest time I guess I spent was at Microsoft. I was in a working corporate in Seattle and in a worldwide role. So pretty much found myself traveling 2 weeks out of 4 all across the globe. So that kind of gave me a lot of experience in understanding business across the world. Was doing a lot of events as part of my job. So just was excited about the possibilities, that events kind of do, bringing communities together, but also found lots of challenges and or things that could be done better. And that was something which then I kind of left Microsoft with, was to start a company which focused on collaboration, pretty much in the business to business space. And events certainly was an area that we ventured into.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like some of the past before I started Social27.
So after you left Microsoft, I know you had some other ventures of your own, some of the businesses before Social27. What did those businesses do?
Yep. So I had the company Social27 all throughout, but yes, I did, try to do some other things as well in the meantime. I did go back to India because I'm from India, actually. I spent 20 years of my life there in the beginning. And I did do a retail venture there with somebody I knew just to kind of get an understanding of that new world, that, the economy of that side of the house. And then I came back to the US and we did some mobile apps as well. Again, pretty much focused on the collaboration space of connecting people together. So these experiences, I guess, kind of gave me a good grounding of being an entrepreneur because, yes, you learn a lot in Microsoft, but the resources that are available to you are, in many cases, unlimited / there is a lot of resources available. Versus when you're an entrepreneur by yourself, you have to somehow figure things out. And so some of these experiences and some of these ventures really helped me kind of ground myself and understand how to build business and certainly what not to do. Because, did make some mistakes here and there. And I'm glad I was able to visualize where the things were going. And in both those cases, cut my losses and moved on.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of helped set the foundation of Social27.
So when did Social27 actually start?
I mean, honestly, the company was registered back in 2007, but business-wise, we started things around 2013, 2014 range. That's when we kind of came out with our first version of our virtual events platform. It was hybrid, obviously, at that time. There was nothing only virtual. We were doing summits like Dell World, which is the Dell's annual summit, and a bunch of work for Microsoft and SAP, mostly technology companies. We did that for a couple of years, and then we kind of went more towards learning and training kind of stuff. Events per se, and this goes back to another topic you had talked about earlier, which was around like, how was it before, the pandemic and so forth. And so I think it's a good segue into that. Before, I would say 2019, a lot of these experiences, I think we were a bit early to the market. And the main reason for that was that streaming was really expensive. So it's only very few companies who could do it, and they could also not do it all the time, and they would only do it for like the very, very big events. So the pool of people who really wanted to do something of this kind was very small. And it was still very expensive to get this done. But over the years, I think what has happened is that the streaming costs have gone down tremendously.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, what also happened is that more and more people are more comfortable in front of the camera now
Yeah.
as compared to like 5 6 years ago, right? So I think it's some of those factors which, and again we can go deeper into any of those areas which you feel, but that those some of the differences between the time I would say before 2016 2017 and then after.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, the streaming is just so much more accessible now than it was back when you started. Like you say, it sounds like you were a little bit before your time in a way.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was possible, but it was expensive.
Yeah.
And then all the attendees at all these events, they did not have the right device and or the right bandwidth, so the experience wasn't as good. And that's the reason why it never took off the way it was supposed to. So that's why we kind of pivoted more towards learning and training, which was not necessarily live streaming, was more pre-recorded content, which was, which still could be delivered without hitch. So we did that for a few years. And then in 2019 is what I refer to as our R&D year, our research and development year. This was a kind of a quantum shift that was happening across the world, not just in the business to business space, but just how people consume content in regular lives. So again, what are events, right? Events are consuming content and collaborating / networking. That's what an event is. And so we looked at what were people doing in terms of consuming content in their daily lives. And so you see things like Spotify, YouTube, Netflix,
Yeah.
and so forth. And people, that's how people are consuming content and actually enjoying it. And the one one red thread which kind of binds all this together was the fact that yes, first of all, yes, there was a lot of content, but secondly, you didn't just have to search for it for hours. The system understood you and gave you recommendations on what it thinks that you might like. And that has been, I guess, the biggest reason why people do spend a lot of time on a lot of these networks, because they watch one thing and then the next recommendation is equally good and or better, and so like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, let me check that out as well. So that is, this whole personalization piece has become so big a part of our daily lives, from consuming content, from meeting people on LinkedIn and or on social media where the system keeps on recommending amazing people to us. And then also in our daily lives, when we go to so many of these restaurants these days, you can pretty much customize what you want to eat, and so all of these factors, this personalization and customization that people do in their daily lives, was something that we wanted to bring into the business world as well, and really give the attendee at an event the ability to have the experience mold according to what they want, versus the traditional event where, for the lack of a better example, I kind of compare it to herding sheep from one room to the other.
Yeah.
And so the attendees, I mean, there's thousands of people in attendance and they all are very smart and intelligent, have a lot of things to say, but they just sit there looking at the one person on the podium, and that is, I think, such a waste of such a lot of amazing intelligence. So for us, it was put the attendee in the center, let the system help them find what they're looking for, the relevant experiences, and then somehow, once they've had those experiences, some of that learning, really allow them to become part of the dialogue, so that you can somehow harness the collective intelligence of everyone at the event versus the chosen few who are the speakers, right? So that was the premise, with which we've kind of built the new generation of our events experience.
Yeah. So who is your platform primarily for? Who are the sort of businesses and the kind of people that are using it?
It's all over the place. Our customers, one of our biggest customers is the United Nations. And we are very proud to say that we were the platform that was used for the Global Climate Change Conference, COP26, that happened in Glasgow last November.
Wow.
And yeah, it was the biggest event that happened, in terms of hybrid, 190 countries, 110 heads of state, actually 150 heads of state. and everybody who's who was present, and thousands of people connected from across the world online. And it was the biggest, should I say, I mean, more could have been done, but I think it was a lot that got done, and the biggest set of agreements since the Paris Accord. So we were very honored to have enabled that experience. So that's like one example. Like, so that's UN, more and less in the organizations that are focused on causes and so forth. We also have customers like Microsoft and other companies of tech companies of that kind. We also serve companies like Duracell, also serve companies like Norwegian Cruise Lines, right? Also to smaller industry associations. So it's really all sorts of customers, but I would say the majority of my customers are certainly in the upper mid market and the enterprise space. So mid to large size companies are the majority of my customers.
Yeah. So what kind of impact did you see when the pandemic happened? And do you think that we would have moved more towards a virtual way of working anyway without the pandemic?
That's a very good question. And, I think the so-called digital transformation was supposed to happen, but it just happened. What was supposed to happen in maybe 4 years happened in 4 months.
Yeah.
And we were all kind of thrown into it, and we all figured it out pretty fast. And it became more of a digital disruption instead of a transformation, because that's how it happened. So I think the biggest, I mean, yes, we had just come into market in early 2020 with our new platform. We were getting interest from companies, but obviously around March, April 2020, things just skyrocketed, and we were getting like literally 50 calls a day, from people who were ready to go like right now. I mean, the average sales cycle in the enterprise is 4 to 6 months, and we were closing sales in like 5 days. So it was a very different world, and we were very, we could help our current customers as well as help a lot of the other customers who really needed this, because so for business continuity reasons. And so I think we were really glad that we had an option and a solution available for our customers to continue business during those times.
Yeah.
And I think the adoption of technology by individuals, like everybody's got a microphone now, everybody's got a nice camera on their computer now. So that has changed the whole game. So I think that's been certainly the reason why I feel that these experiences are here to stay. They've kind of become part of. It's not something that's like, oh, it was just in the pandemic, but it's just become the new normal now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you said at the start, you were talking about the job that you used to have where you flew all over the place to different events. Do you think anybody will have a job like that again?
I think there will be jobs like that. And I am also looking forward to doing some of that again. So I'll tell you the reason why. I think that people will always still want to meet in person.
Yeah.
And again, it just kind of goes back to us being, at a cave and dancing around the fire and talking about, all those things. And it's just who human beings are. They want to collect and, and be together. But the conversation will change, or I think what we are trying to do is create more relevant experiences. So, for example, I have, got, I don't know, a few hundred customers over the last couple of years. I have not met more than 5% of them in person.
Yeah.
And there was no way I could have done these sales
Yeah.
pre-COVID without having 5 or 6 in-person meetings with these people. So I think what has happened now is that a lot of that intro stuff, hi, who are you and what do you guys do, should all happen online, because there's no reason to meet in person for that, because
Yeah.
it might not go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then after that, once you've established something, you've shown them the demos of what you do, and you've all come to an understanding of where this needs to go, sure, at that stage, it's great to go and have a quick in-person meeting and just really get to know each other, and start the thing. So I think people would be meeting more now to actually sign a deal versus an introduction.
Yeah.
So that really helps, first of all, with costs and time savings, but also more relevant experiences. And I think that is where the future will be. at least for my generation. But on the other side, my son, he plays all these games on his, and he's 7. He plays these games on his laptop, whatever, tablet, Roblox, and
Yeah.
things of that kind. And those worlds, I mean, he's born into this stuff. So for
Yes.
him,
Yes.
he's just fine with, probably never meeting anyone. So the point is, it's just, I guess, yeah, my generation at least, I mean, I'm in my 40s right now. So I think my generation at least would still want to meet in person probably. I don't know about, the people who are my son's age and or their teens right now, like what they will do. But yes, I guess that's my opinion on that. Yeah.
So tell me about networking on your platform and how that works.
Certainly. So again, when we go to any kind of an event, right? So the first thing is to certainly look forward to learning from the best minds in the industry. The chosen speakers. We learn some things from them. Once we are excited and sparked in our minds, and the next immediate thing on our mind is, okay, I would love to discuss this with my peers, and see if somebody's done something or share some best practices and so forth. Like that's what we call networking, right? So, and at that stage, even if you are in a small event of like 50, 60 people, it becomes a little overwhelming because you look around the room, you're like, where should I start?
Yes.
And imagine when you're at a regular conference where there's thousands of people.
Yeah.
Most people just do more like a spray and pray, whereas it's like, I'm just going to bump into a few people and maybe something's going to work. I've got a wad of business cards and at least one contact will work, so that's sad because, we traveled all the way there. We've spent all this money, time and everything else. And, the expectation is so low. So for us, I think the biggest thing there is the system knows all the attendees and knows everything about a lot of things about the attendees, not just their registration information, but also knows what have they been up to inside the event. So we are able to then find like-minded people and or people who are interested in similar stuff, and we give those as recommendations to our attendees, like, hey, based upon your areas of interest, here are some recommendations. And then, where, it's the people that they end up liking more, then we start giving them more like recommendation, just like how Spotify would recommend music. Hey, you love this song. There's a million other people who love this song, but they also like this one other song. So it's just the same kind of a concept. So that has really helped kind of create those, experiences which are, again, more relevant. We also have something called Hello World, which is like a 30-second Instagram, TikTok style video introduction. So again, everybody's got a camera now. Just get in front of your camera like, hi, my name's Ike. I'm all about virtual events. Would love to talk to anyone who's interested in the space, blah, blah, blah. So that, again, is kind of like a video handshake. And so you can sift through those videos just like you would sift through, content on Instagram through hashtags and stuff, and find interesting, cool people. Rather than just bumping into people and being like, who are you and where are you from? It's better is to kind of get a bit of an intro who they are. And if you see interest, start a video call with them. So that's kind of the experiences, again, all focused on understanding who you are, what are you looking for, giving you recommendations. And once you sift through those recommendations, giving you very easy ways to see who these people are and then connect with them right away, right?
Yeah.
So that's the premise behind the whole thing.
Yeah. So your system kind of takes some of the randomness out of who you might meet at a conference.
Absolutely. Again, I always use this, this kind of a thing, like, nobody wants to kiss 100 frogs to find the prince or the princess, right? So it's not a good experience, but that's the experience in most networking, situations. It's not like buyers don't want to buy, sellers don't want to sell. It's just the friction and the time it takes to find the right match, right? So that is what we are trying to help, our customers with, is to do that hard work for them. And, at least not the one match, but at least give them 10 frogs to kiss versus 100, right? So, I mean, that's yeah.
Yeah. So your recommendation engine, which you've just been talking a bit about, obviously makes your platform a bit different from other event platforms, and there are quite a few virtual event platforms now, particularly since the pandemic. What else is different about your platform, and how does it stand out from the rest?
That's a good point. I mean, I'll be honest, there's also other platforms who are building some kind of recommendation engines, so ours just has to be better. We just keep on working on it. But then on the other side, I think for us, especially the kind of market that we are in, the upper mid market and the enterprise, compliance, security, privacy are very, very important for my customers. Again, a small example with the United Nations, they had we have given them the ability to have 2500 different attendee types and be able to lock and unlock parts of the experience based upon the attendee type.
Yeah.
That is, nobody can do that in the whole world. It's something, that's the reason why they chose us. That's one of the reasons why they chose us, because our system, you can easily configure an attendee type and then give them very, very micro permissions for pretty much every page and every section of the page, kind of thing. And that helps, first of all, to create an experience that is very prescriptive in some cases for an attendee type, because we had like presidents of state in there and also like activists from Greenpeace in there. So like sometimes they should not be signing the same document,
Yeah.
and or like it's the climate treaty for the country, and only certain people can go into that room and be part of those conversations, so that somebody just kind of doesn't walk in and just impersonate someone, and suddenly your country just signed up for something you don't know. So the point is, it's just that security and that compliance and the ability to have this whole very, very sophisticated web of permissions is something that I think is the crown in our, sorry, the feather in our crown, kind of thing. And that has been one of the key reasons why a lot of our customers want to work with us, is our focus on these scenarios which are very important to their business. We also do the one size fits all, which a lot of our competitors do, where everybody's in the same room doing the same thing. We have those experiences as well, if that's what is needed. For example, for the keynote, everybody needs to be there, thousands of people, all good. But then they might want to go into breakouts after that, but there's only very specific people who are invited because of their permission levels. And the other people don't even need to see that those things exist, because they're not supposed to be part of that. So it's just, curated experiences, exclusive experiences, and the ability to make sure that privacy and security and compliance are always prime, and nobody, like for example, GDPR in the EU and everything else, right? I mean, there's a lot of new laws that are very important to be followed. And our customers come from all over the world, with attendees from all over the world. So it's very, very important for us that we follow and are compliant with all those policies.
Yeah. It sounds to me like Social 27 has come a really long way already in quite a short time. But what's next? What are the plans for the future? And especially now that we're going back to not always face-to-face events, but maybe hybrid events where part of it's face-to-face and part of it's online. How is all that working?
Absolutely. So again, when we were building the latest version of our platform in 2019, there wasn't anything so-called virtual events. It was all hybrid in mind. So we kind of built everything from that, that sense. But for us, yes, absolutely. Hybrid is the name of the game, at least for the second part of this calendar year. Pretty much all of our customers are planning on doing hybrid events. And so for us, it's more about how can I take the same experience, the recommendations and all of that stuff, and have it also be available in the in-person scenario. So imagine an environment where you go in pre-event, you have your 100 or 200 level content already available, so that you got a really good sense of the of the knowledge that you're supposed to gain for that particular topic area. You've already done some of those intro things, and then most importantly, you've already been introduced to relevant people. You've made those connections. You've already gone to some of those virtual booths and see some demos and all that, so that when you come in person, all that intro stuff is done. Intro to the content, intro to the people, intro to the solutions in the expo hall. So when you come there, you already know who you're supposed to talk to. You already have your meetings set up. You're not bumping into people and trying to like figure out if they're relevant or not. I mean, you could still do that if you want to, like just for fun, but like the relevance and the importance of your time. So you're spending less time in person, but doing everything that you find value in. That's the goal. And for example, we have an app that we are building as part of our in-person experience where, we are layering in augmented reality onto that. So, imagine it's called the radar, where you just like, when you're standing, you could be like, okay, in my, 60 feet radius, 50 feet radius, whatever, like who are the people the system recommends to me?
Yeah.
And, it could tell you like, well, you got these 10 people, very close to you, and here's their profiles, click, and then send them a quick message saying, hey, I'm in the vicinity. Do you want to maybe catch a coffee or something? So it's things like that, so location aware experiences, and most importantly, giving you the best use of your time when you're at the event, and then post event to be able to follow up on the things that you missed on.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just going to make attendance at conferences and events and so on just so much more efficient and allow you to get the best value from the time that you spend there.
At least that's the goal. We just want our customers to get on board, because sometimes they're like, oh, that sounds really cool. Maybe next time. Today, let's just get the content out. We see 5 sessions on a page. I'm like, okay, sure. So it's just, no, I'm just joking. I think a lot of our customers are certainly very much looking forward to, I think 2022 is certainly the year of engagement. I think 2020 and 2021 was more about, let's just get the content out there, because people are still figuring out what this new world looks like.
Yeah.
And I think this year is all about, okay, content is easy now. How do I make the people connect and have amazing experiences? So that, I think, is the main focus for our industry, at least. And a lot of our customers are very much on board with that, and we are here to help them do that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ike. Just finally, if people want to find out more about either you or Social 27, how can they find you?
I think LinkedIn is great. We are on social27.com, but hey, we are also on LinkedIn as Social27, and I am on, LinkedIn, Ike Kehal, Social27. So yeah, I guess that's the best ways to link to us.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, and the best of luck with Social 27 going forward.
Thank you so much, Liz. This was absolutely a pleasure. Looking forward to connecting again. Yeah, take care.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.